Hello, I'm Mark Chapman. Before you get stuck into this podcast, I want to tell you about the Daily Euros. The Football Daily podcast is changing as we turn our full attention to the international stage. It'll be your daily dose of Euros analysis, debate and news as we bring you all the action with some of the biggest names in the game. We'll have reporters inside all the home nations' camps, bringing you interviews with the players, coaches and managers throughout the tournament. So join us and get ready for the Euros like no other on the Daily Euros. Listen on BBC Sounds. Now, back to your podcast.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hi, Gary here. Just a reminder that the Match of the Day Top 10 podcast is a bit different from what you're used to seeing from us on TV, and there may occasionally be some colourful language, particularly from the Geordie contingent. Thanks for listening. Was it really 5 years ago? Portugal lifting their first major trophy, Wales making the semi-finals, Northern Ireland getting to the knockout stage, England humiliated by Iceland, Harry Kane taking corners. This time on Match of the Day Top 10, the memorable moments of Euro 2016. A pre-COVID world, where has the time gone? Alan Shearer and Micah Richards are with me, as always, to look back at the previous edition of the Euros. The first time it was expanded to 24 teams. Perhaps not the greatest tournament football-wise, but memorable nonetheless. How's your memory?
Not too bad. I certainly remember how bad England were. That's for sure.
Yeah, where were you, Micah? You weren't in the punditry world then?
I don't know.
16?
Probably drunk somewhere in a bar.
Watching England?
Yeah, well, like I said, disappointing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was from an England perspective, but great moments both for Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, Wales, particularly Wales, of course, had a great tournament. You never played in a tournament, Olympics though, so that's
It's still a tournament, Gary.
Yeah.
I mean,
Did you see him then? Olympic. Then he couldn't.
Yeah, I played the Olympics. It's fantastic. Actually, one of the best times of my life.
I remember you saying.
Yeah, I know, but we won't go down that story again. I think
the condom route.
Exactly that. But it was different, wasn't it? I know I've talked about when you go into the Olympic Village, but it's just the mindset. You come closer to everyone. You know, like you always get them players in the team you don't like, do you? You just...
Well, there's the odd one. I mean, I don't know how many you had that you don't like.
There's a few.
Really? Name names.
No. But when you go in that tournament atmosphere, everyone's just together.
But the Olympics must be so different to a tournament like that Alan and I would have played in, because you're actually with all the other athletes of different sports and also the teams you play against, aren't you? All in the same place? Or?
Yeah, it is weird. But it was just...
Did everyone get on?
Yeah, it was a different environment. It's hard to explain, really. It's one of those...
It sounded like just a party. Were you taking it seriously or not?
I wasn't taking it seriously, no. I wasn't.
You played the Olympics.
Why do you think he had the time of his life?
You're playing for Great Britain in the Olympics. What do you mean you weren't taking it seriously?
I played well in the Olympics as well, but we lost to South Korea in penalties. But we were just enjoying the moment. Because you know what, like in football, you know when you win things and whatnot, you sort of...
Why didn't you take a penalty?
No, I told you I would never, ever take a penalty. Ever. Sturridge missed, didn't he? And...
Did he? That's right, I remember that now.
Do you remember the time?
I was covering it. Yeah.
To be fair, I was injured at the time, shock. I did my ankle. I come off after, I think, second half.
Too much drinking.
Too much, yeah. Couldn't recover, could I? But yeah, the experience was just brilliant. You know, I was gutted I never went to go to a Euros or a World Cup.
What was the closest?
Roy Hodgson, before the Olympics.
Yeah.
We just won the league, so I thought I was going.
Did you get a phone call? Did you get any?
It was Stuart Pearce, wasn't it? We had.
We got Stuart Pearce to call you. That's right. You said,
Stuart Pearce to ring me.
A bit cowardly, that, do you think? Or
yeah, I don't.
Maybe he just thought he knows you. I don't want to do it. He's very big and strong.
Yeah, but would you ring me if you were a manager and you wasn't going to take me? Like
had you been in previous squads and stuff around the? Or
in and out.
Yeah.
In and out.
I think it's normal if you miss out in a squad and you're close. Is it, Alan? I don't know, because it's never happened to me.
What you
I
asking
don't
me
think he's
for?
ever having a either.
You know, I went in '92 when we went to Sweden. The famous day when you missed that penalty on the Sunday. The squad announcement was going to be the next day on the Monday, and of course I didn't. I was
On the edge.
and I didn't know. So you played Brazil at Wembley that Sunday afternoon, and I thought I'm going to go and ask Graham Taylor on the Sunday evening
If I'm going.
I'm going. And I was only a young kid.
That's a ballsy thing
I know.
to do, isn't it?
I
How
know.
old were you, 20?
I was 20, yeah. 21.
Yeah.
So I thought he can't kick me out of the squad. He can only admire me, I think, for knocking
You can only admire me.
I thought, well, it's going to do me no harm. So I went and knocked on his door at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and I said, I know you're making this squad announcement tomorrow, but am I in? And he said, why should I tell you? I said,
Did he?
Yeah. He said, why
Because
should I
it's
tell you?
me.
I said, well, because I'm knocking on your door and I'm asking you, that's why. And he said, well, off, you'll find out tomorrow like the rest of everyone else.
Is that right? Is that what he said?
That's what he said, yeah. And I just thought, I've done myself no harm here by knocking on his door. And I think he looked at me and I think he admired me for doing that. And maybe that was one of the reasons why he put me in.
Do you think it could have sneaked you in that? Do you think? Oh, no, surely.
Well,
not.
if he's thinking, I'm not sure what to do here. I think.
God, that was brave of you to do that at
Brave or
21
stupid,
years
one of the two,
old.
I'm not sure, but I think it helped me in the end.
Yeah, you
And I
must have
think
thought
he
you were
saw-
quite good.
Well, I had belief in my own ability.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that I don't think it would have done me any harm. Put it that way.
The build-up for the Olympics, was that like a tournament? Did you get together a couple of weeks before, or was it last minute, not quite as...
It was, even though we knew, but Stuart Pearce was the manager, wasn't he? So we had the call about not going to the Euros, but we're going to do the Olympics. But it was sort of like rushed because it was in London. It was going to be great, but it's not given the same respect. You know, like the South American teams, they take it real serious. You know, you've seen Messi's won it as well, Aguero, the Brazilians take it, but we don't really take it that seriously. So when we was like, oh, I don't want to go to the Olympics, but then you start to see the players, and then Gareth Bale was supposed to go, didn't go. Ramsey played, who was fantastic there, but it was almost like we didn't have no time to play together. But some of the Welsh lads was really good players. I was really impressed with Ramsey in that tournament. And I got to play with the likes of Giggs. He was always been my rival at Man United. But just seeing him was like, as a player, even at that age, I've never seen someone so like technically good and just know where the spaces were, be able to lay it off once. He was one of our best players in that tournament. He really
was getting on a bit by that stage, wasn't he? Of
I
course.
know, yeah, I can't remember how old he would have been then.
Yeah, mid to late 30s. Alan, I think people are interested about what it's like to be part of a squad before a tournament, because it drags a bit, doesn't it? And it's not, you know, it's exciting. You can't wait for the tournament to start. You know, I was involved in 4 tournaments. You were about the same. And
I think a lot depends on how the results are going. I mean, I've been in a squad where, as you have in '92, where it didn't go well at all.
Yeah.
And I know it's over pretty quickly, but when it's going well, like it did in '96, when you're getting the right results,
magical,
then it's it's just an unbelievable month to be a part of. The camaraderie, you come together. I mean, you're trying to all year round. You're trying to kick the out of each other, aren't you? With different teams.
And then you're suddenly all together.
And then you're all together. You've got to create this team spirit. And even, you know, when you get, because you're there for that long, it's slightly different when you come into a normal squad where you're there for 3 or 4 days, you play and you're away again. There's still that little bit of rivalry, I think. But when you're there for 4 or 5 weeks together.
Did you ever get bored in that period before the tournament? Because, you know, you've seen it level at the players. Oh, it's training camp, it's boring, there's nothing to do. I mean, nowadays there's so much more to do, isn't there? Because you've all got your phones and you play games and FIFA and all that sort of stuff. Whereas back in, you know, I remember in Mexico, I mean, obviously it was hot and there was a pool a bit, but we weren't allowed to sunbathe above, I think we were limited to half an hour or an hour a day. And then there was nothing else to do, so you had to make your own entertainment. There was no mobile phones, of course. We were allowed to make 1 phone call home a week from reception. because you didn't have phones in your rooms. So we had to make your own entertainment. And it was... Just,
that was back in Morse code day, wasn't it?
Dot, dash, dash. But yeah, so it's, tournaments, it is different, isn't it? It is different.
What was it like? Was it strict back then?
Bobby Robson was in charge. It was strictish, but, you know, I remember the lads sneaked out one night.
But that's what I'm getting at. Did you sneak out? Because that's what the people want to hear. We don't want to hear the usual stories.
No,
we want to hear what you got up to.
There was one night 4 or 5 of the lads sneaked out.
Can you name names?
But yeah, I think it's been out there since Terry Butcher, Brian Robson, Gazza, Waddle.
Oh, well, yeah, Gazza, obviously.
I missed out on that one, thankfully, because they got caught.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, because I think that's how Brian Robson injured he got the toe injury on that particular trip. I think they came back and then Gazza was in the bed or something and they were all smashed. And I think they tried to wake him and Robbo lifted the bed up or something like that and he dropped it and landed on his own toe.
Oh my word.
And then he was all right. He was his shoulder injury that did for him in the tournament and all that. But there was, you know, things like that were... but
why can't we behave, though? Why can't we behave?
I think it's the boredom factor sneaks in, and I don't know, it's something about the British personality likes a bevy, and then once you have a couple, then you don't behave so well, do you? But our best one was we had a race night. I've told this story on other things, but we had a race night where Fred Street, the physio, he'd put together some tape of some random horse racing from America or something where no one knows the results. And we'd had a few of these. And Peter Shilton and myself, the bookmakers, I knew how to run a book because I'd done it at Leicester Races when I was 16, 17.
It was traditional, wasn't it, for the England captain to do that?
To do that. It became traditional after that, I think. Yeah. So we called ourselves Honest Shilts and Links. and I ran the book and we had betting on the matches that were going on, just to keep a bit of interest on me. And then we had these racing nights, and on the third one, Fred Street and Gazza had got together, and on the 7th race, they'd opened the seal and watched the race. So they knew which horse was going to win.
My!
So anyway, we were doing quite well, as the bookies usually do. So we get to the 7th race, and I've got the odds up, blah 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 blah, and I adjust it when people bet horses. So they were quite canny. They got all the small betters that come in at a £5 and a £10 and all this on this horse, that horse, and gradually it went out in the odds, and I've knocked it down. It went to about 10-1. In came the heavyweights. In came Brian Robson and Gazza and Chris Watt, and they all came in with these lumps, and I've suddenly gone, this stinks. This stinks. So anyway, the race starts, it's going on, and this bloody thing miles clear, and we're all going, oh no! Schultz is going. When it won, a whole squad did the conga right around the swimming pool, ran around, absolutely did us up.
How long after did they tell you?
Well, it was obvious. It was obvious halfway through the race. We knew. I was going, this is going to end badly. This is bad.
See, that's brilliant. That's what people love to hear.
It's fun. So you got to kind of make some entertainment. But we should get on to the subject of the...
Where were we?
Yes, it's a list of 10 memorable moments of 2016, which is why I was trying to fill with stories about that, because there certainly weren't that for us memorable moments, but it wasn't the greatest tournament. But it was the most recent tournament, and there were some magical moments, including first up, Gareth McCauley's goal for Northern Ireland against Ukraine, the first goal ever at the Euros for Northern Ireland. Robbie Brady's goal for the Republic of Ireland versus Italy in a famous 1-0 win in Lille that sent them into the last 16. Gareth Bale's trademark free kicks against Slovakia and England in the group stages. Dimitri Payet's brilliant goal for France against Romania. He had a great tournament overall as France reached the final. Xherdan Shaqiri's wonder goal for Switzerland versus Poland. I think that made our great goals, didn't it? The overhead kick in the round of 16. Well, it had to be in there, didn't it? Yes, England's defeat to Iceland in the round of 16. By contrast, Wales beating Belgium 3-1 to reach the semi-finals with goals from Ashley Williams, Howard Robson-Kanu and Sam Vokes. Cristiano Ronaldo's performance in the semis as Portugal defeated Wales, that incredible header and an assist. Then Ronaldo again being injured in the final. Remember the tears when he went off. And Adair's winning goal in the final against France to secure Portugal's first major title. Right, 10-6.
This is difficult, this.
It is. It's only 5 years ago, but it's...
I had to look closely at a lot of these because looking back, I remember the Ronaldo, I remember Wales, and obviously England being shambolic. Other than that, I had to look deeply into
the
research
Ronaldo
into
injury
it.
and stuff.
Yeah, the
We all
injury.
remember those kind of things.
Because it just isn't. There's not a lot there because of England being so bad.
Yeah. Okay. Alan, 10.
10 was the Adair goal v France in the final.
Winning goal in the final, only 10.
Memorable. I had to look
Extra
at it
time.
and had to
Can't
research
remember.
it.
We worked on that game.
I know we worked on it, yeah, but I don't look back at it in fond memories.
It wasn't a great game, was it? It was,
It was all...
Go on.
That's 10. 9 was the Ronaldo injury in the final. 8 was Payet goal v Romania. 7, Shaqiri's goal against Poland.
I never spell Shaqiri right, ever.
And 6, Robbie Brady goal v Italy.
Okay. Micah?
I've gone Robbie Brady goal versus Italy number 10. Payet goal. Ronaldo versus Wales. Bale free kicks. And Shaqiri goal number 6.
Right, let's start with ones that you've both got in the lower part of the top 10. Payet goal. Somebody, we've just watched it again to remind ourselves.
If I remember rightly, didn't he go into the tournament having already scored a load for West Ham?
He'd had a brilliant time at West Ham,
Certainly some
didn't he?
spectacular goals, and this one was another one in the tournament. So, yeah, it's a great strike, wasn't it?
No, it was great. No, Payet, I played against Payet when he was at West Ham, and he was
tricky.
You know what? He was deceiving because he was quite plumpish. Is that a fair description of him? And I was playing against him, and I thought he's not going to outrun me or whatnot. But for a big guy, he could move like effortlessly, and then the way he would drop his shoulder, and some of his free kicks were brilliant. I was sad to see him leave the league actually, because I think if he would have been there a bit longer, it would have been appreciated a lot more. But he was
I don't think the West Ham fans were, because it was the way he left, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It wasn't
a lot
great.
of anger, wasn't there? And
It
rightly
wasn't.
so, I think.
But he was a very good player. Yeah. Very, very good player.
Yeah.
On his day.
When he didn't eat too much, is that what you're saying? What do you weigh?
I weigh 100 kg. What's that?
When you played or now?
When I played, I was about 92. Yeah. But I do boxing now, don't I? My arms.
Is that what you?
Big guns.
Yeah.
See the size of his gun. Look at him.
What, 100 kg? What's that in stones and pounds?
To be honest, I don't know. It's heavy.
Your legs must back half of that.
I know, yeah. It's because I can't run anymore because of my knee. I do a lot of boxing.
Are you still bad, is it?
Yeah, still bad.
Really?
Even just like sitting there.
What was it?
Stiff.
Cruciate thing?
Lateral meniscus. So, yeah, bone on bone now.
Yeah.
Just rubs
Nothing
together.
You had it out. The whole lot's gone.
Pretty much, yeah. Hanging on by a thread.
Oh, God, that's not good. Yeah. So, Payet, scorching goal, though.
Yeah, cut in, didn't he? Left from that left-hand side and bent it in the top corner. It was a great finish from a good player on his day, I would say. There's always a problem when you say someone on his day, they don't produce it enough, do they?
Yeah, it's a sign, isn't it? It's like that, and the other one is, well, he works hard.
Yeah, well,
That's
really,
what he says.
Yeah.
That kind of should be a prerequisite, shouldn't it?
Yeah, but having said that, certain players get away with not working hard, don't they? You've got to
be good.
Because if you see you're Messi's big fan, but have you seen the way he doesn't work hard,
Not
does
now. He doesn't track back now.
But he scores an hat-trick, so you could justify it.
Yeah. It's funny, when I went to Barcelona, don't mention that. Before you say it, I got there. You know, like when you played in England, as particularly back then, it was always 4-4-2, and when the keeper or someone, if they knock it to the fullback or whatever, you have to charge over, don't you, as one of the strikers, and you got to try and slide tackle and all that. So first game for Barcelona, it goes out wide, run out there a couple of times in the first half, coming at half time. Players are going, what are you doing? Like, why are you chasing? He said, they went, no, you just stay in the middle there and just score some goals. And I went, But you know what? When I came back to England, I started reading stuff about he's a bit lazy because I'd stopped. So I had to kind of start doing it again occasionally. It was like weird, just the mindset. It's like, the other thing is, when you play at Barcelona as a defender, for example, you know in England, if the ball and a defender crunching tackle or kicks a ball into the stand, if you like clearance into the stand, you get booed over there. You cannot do that in Barcelona. You cannot do that as a Barcelona defender. If you try, you've got to try and play yourself out of trouble. Sooner you lose it than just hump it into the stand. Just different.
that's acceptable in our country, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, they quite like it, don't they?
I think it's changing. It's changing now.
I think Pep's been largely responsible for changing. He's the start, because remember when he first came, everyone was going, I'm not sure you can do that. I'm not sure you can get away with that in England. But
he's not done too bad, has he?
He's done all right. Where we go next? I want to know why Eder's in last place, apart from the fact that you had to look it up, and it was the winning goal.
It was the winning goal. He hardly
in
ever
extra
scored.
Time.
He came on as a sub. He hardly ever scored.
But it was a great goal.
It was a great goal on a great occasion. Great goal? It was a good goal. I mean, outside the box. Touch, turn,
outside the box, bottom corner.
Yeah.
Just because you whacked a couple in the top corner, okay, you know.
It was a great occasion. I'm not sure it was a great goal, but yeah.
So what did you have him? How low did you have him down?
10.
If you just...
Hold on. Hold on.
What's the title
of this? He
this?
scored the winning goal in the Euros, and he gets number 10.
Memorable moments. Not even you could remember it.
I
It wasn't even remember. You couldn't. It wasn't memorable for you.
He already says he was drunk in some pub somewhere. Alan, let me ask you a question. If you'd have scored the winning goal in extra time of the Euros in 96, turned, hit one in the bottom corner from outside the box, where would that be in your...
Number 1. if Eder and Pepe are sat doing a podcast, I'm pretty sure they would put Alan Shearer's goal at number 10.
Good point. And on that point, we'll move on to... brilliant. Robbie Brady. Can you remember that one?
No, I had to look that up as well. No, that was a very good header. That was very timely, if I remember rightly. They had to win the game.
Yeah.
Italy had already won the group, or qualified certainly, so they had to win. 5 or 6 minutes left. Ball in from the left or right-hand side. Left-footed crossing. Header. I don't know what the keeper was doing. But
magic moment for
amazing.
And I remember Martin O'Neill after he was pacing up and down, wasn't he? He was just pacing you because he was so tense. Where were you on that night then, Micah?
In the pub again?
Yeah, probably. I can't remember that game too much. I remember
Is that why it's number 10?
No, it is number 10, but it's because Italy already were qualified. So I wasn't really taking that much notice of it, really. And when, I don't want to be biased to England, but you pay more attention to the England game.
Well, if you're English, you would. And
that's
I'm sure that's not necessarily true of the people of Ireland.
Yeah, but it was memorable. But yeah, it's my number 10.
Yeah. You both got different Ronaldo moments in that part of the draw, the top 10 to 6. You've got the injury. At 9, and you've got the Ronaldo header against Wales. The injury was, that was the thing that people probably remember from the final, perhaps more than Eder's goal.
Yeah, because of the way he dragged his team to the final. It was all about him, wasn't it? And rightly so, because of what he did. So for him to get to the final, Portugal's first major title. Then he got injured, 8 or 9 minutes, tried to carry on for another 15 minutes or so.
Couldn't do it. Tears as he came off.
Tears
Remember the moths all over him?
Yeah, that's right.
There was that swarm of moths that day, wasn't there?
I do remember that.
Yeah.
And then that was it. He had enough, and then he had to come off. You could see him in tears. And then all for the rest of the game, wasn't it? He was up with his coach. And
where have you got the moths in your top 10?
So you had the injury quite low. What number did you have the injury?
9 on the injury, yeah.
Wow. I only think about that at the tournament, Ronaldo, really, because that was just massive. We always thought if Ronaldo gets injured, we've got no chance.
I remember watching the game and thinking how many times whoever was directing the final on that, how many times they cut to Ronaldo on the bench. It was like every time the ball went out of play, Ronaldo, Ronaldo. I mean, that's the measure of a superstar.
If we're talking about someone being injured in a final as the most memorable moment of a tournament, it means it was a pretty tournament from our point of view. Would you agree?
Well, don't try and sell the podcast too much.
Yeah. Who cares? Already been paid.
Yeah. I'd tell you what, if you were Portuguese, you'd think differently, wouldn't you? Because you imagine for them.
Tournament for Portugal.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
Shaqiri's goal, which we've talked about once or twice because it was such a staggering overhead kick from outside the box, and it was quite highly rated in our top 10.
So it should be.
Ever
it was a brilliant goal, wasn't it? I mean, to even attempt it, let alone see it go in the back of the net. Yeah. His whole body was off the floor when he connected with the ball, wasn't it?
Generally is when it's an overhead kick.
True, good point. Yeah. But to even try that from outside the box, no chance.
Yeah.
How would talk us through the perfect overhead kick?
What are you asking me? I'd scored one. I think it was Grimsby once. It might have been. It won't be. There won't be any footage of it. That's the great thing nowadays. Is every goal is filmed, isn't it?
Whereas, I scored one overhead kick.
Yeah.
It was for England. It was probably the worst overhead kick you've ever seen.
It was a missed kick one, was it?
Well, it wasn't a missed kick.
Who was that against?
I can't. It was at Sunderland. Remember when England were travelling around the grounds, and it was at the Stadium of Light, and it might have been Belgium or something like that. I can't remember. And it was the first goal, and it was maybe 7 or 8 yards out, but it was a pathetic attempt. But somehow it went in. So that was my only one.
I scored like a kind of bicycle sideways. More of a sideways high volley against Poland to get us to 92. Right. And we were 1-0 down. We had to get a draw. About 15 minutes to go or something. There was a corner. I think David Rocastle might have taken the corner. Bless him. And it kind of bounced. It was like one of those.
Do you practice them, or is that just instinctive?
I've practiced all my life hitting balls in from crosses, particularly in my early days. Because we had a coach at Leicester. That's all he did. Was finishing because he was a striker himself, which was great. So a million times I've practiced finishes from crosses. So yeah, so it helped, but missed a few obviously as well. Right, let's go on to our top fives. Micah first.
What have we got? We've got Northern Ireland. Macaulay's first goal, was it?
Macaulay, yeah.
Yes. Ronaldo injury is number 4. The Eder goal for the winner. Wales beating England. Wales beating Belgium, sorry.
Actually, that's one game England did win.
No, yeah, Wales beating Belgium.
Wales. Yeah.
And
the winner?
Yeah, Iceland beating England.
Interesting. Okay, Alan?
Gareth Macaulay, 5.
Yeah, same.
Ronaldo v Wales, 4. The Bale free kicks. Slovakia and England, wasn't it? Wales beating Belgium, and number 1 Iceland beating
England. Same top 2 again.
Well, I guess that's because we're all English. That's understandable. But you've both got Macaulay, Gareth Macaulay, first ever goal for Northern Ireland in the Euros. What a
and they won the game. They won the game, didn't they? 2-0. So yeah, what a moment for him. What a moment for Ireland to get through. But then didn't he score an own goal? I think it was against Wales, an own goal that sent them out of the tournament.
Yeah. It's still a great moment as well, because no one gave him a chance there. They'd spent all the time getting there. There was amazing, great squad. Didn't have a great names, but they had a great squad and cohesion and that sort of thing. So to see him score that's why it's quite high up on my list. It was nice to see that.
Yeah. You've got different Ronaldos. We've discussed the injury, the Ronaldo contribution in the semi-final against Wales. I mean, one of those headers where it's almost like he hangs and time stops while he's up there, almost like a basketball player.
His spring, to get up there, and 2, to stay up there so long. and then to get the direction and the connection of the header is very, very difficult to do. But he does it brilliantly, doesn't he? What a header!
Think of anyone that's better at that, hanging in the air and heading it than Cristiano Ronaldo?
Not in terms of... Tim Cahill was really good in terms of timing.
Yeah.
He didn't get as high. But no, I can't think of anyone...
Les Ferdinand was brilliant.
He was great, wasn't he?
That leap,
yeah,
getting up there and then using all the power, was brilliant in the air. As was Big Duncan Ferguson.
Yeah. I'll tell you, who hangs well, does that. Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, yes. He does.
But Ronaldo was the master of that, wasn't he? Really was.
Superb.
Yeah. Well, still is. He's still
going.
He
set the other goal up as well again for Wales. He
just like a
Nani, wasn't it?
Yeah, Nani.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why that's number 4 for me.
The Bale free kicks, obviously one against England. Yeah, which was your mate Joe didn't have the best tournament, did he? Had a tough time. And he seemed to, after that, I don't know whether it affected him at all, but he didn't seem quite the same goalkeeper since, and he struggled to find a spot anyway.
Mentally, he's so tough. He really is. He is, Joe. And I think being England goalkeeper, it comes with that added pressure, doesn't it?
It's the toughest of positions.
But I feel like the media were too harsh on him, to be honest, because it all...
You were looking at us here, because we were...
Well, yeah, you probably were the two digging him out, wouldn't you?
He could have dug anyone out in that tournament.
Yeah.
But even it was difficult, because even like when Pep came to Man City, and then he didn't even play him, did he? He almost wanted him out.
Yeah.
And then you had that, and you go into Euros, and then didn't have his best of times. But Joe Hart's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And I know we've got to criticise people when they've not played, of course, but I feel like it was a little bit personal with Joe.
Yeah.
Yes. In terms of I heard people, he's arrogant, he thinks he's better than he actually is. He's letting things go to his head. And that wasn't the case. When you're in the spotlight and you're the number one, you have to have confidence, as you guys will know, to do the things that you do in the game. You've got to have the confidence, and people just had it as arrogant, and he's anything
but
an
FA Cup game with us, didn't he?
Yeah. I've worked with him a few times.
He's such a nice guy, isn't he?
Really nice.
Such a nice guy.
And he was an excellent goalkeeper for a long time, and then
exactly.
It happens. But we're talking about Bale here, aren't we? What a talent, Gareth Bale, you know.
Yeah, and that first free kick against Slovakia, it had the dip, didn't it? Dip over the wall.
Is that the one where they hit the daps or whatever you call it, isn't it?
The what?
Line it up.
Adapter thing.
The little...
the little... Yeah,
and then it apparently sends it a little bit, but...
Yeah, I haven't got that.
Would have hurt my toe, I think.
Anything would have.
Shoot for it that far. Yeah.
So he had that one, then he had the one against England, which we've spoken about. Which
he had a great tournament, didn't he?
Should have saved, but very much like, he was their star player, so they looked to him and he delivered. It was a good tournament for him, wasn't it? Brilliant.
Yeah, top player. Which we carry on with Wales, because you've both got them in second place. I mean, they had a fabulous tournament. That's obviously Wales against Belgium. But what a tournament they had, Wales. To go to the semi-final, I mean, obviously a country of, about 3 million population, something like that. It's quite an effort.
It was great, and it was great for the fans, because they had a great atmosphere. So for them to do what they did, you could see they got on a roll, and everyone was playing their part, led by Bale. But that quarter final was probably remembered best, I think, for that Hal Robson-Kanu goal, wasn't it?
What a goal! Yeah.
What a goal!
I mean, it was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Out the blue, and I think it's fair to say he's not been massively prolific in his career and scored that many goals like that, but what a time to produce something.
They're the moments, aren't they? We talked about Eder as well. I don't think he scored a goal all season for Swansea.
He didn't even have a club, did he? He didn't have a
Kanu didn't have a Robson Kanu. He didn't have a club at that time. And they
turned into the other Kanu for a minute, didn't they?
Yeah. It was a moment of sheer brilliance. Yeah. And it was nice to see. You always want an underdog to do well, don't you?
Yeah.
They had a good, I think...
Yeah. It's funny, because I remember we really wanted Wales to do well, but I don't think they want wanted England to do well, which is a common theme, including, of course, there's a little bit of the filming, wasn't there, after England lost against Ireland with all the Wales players celebrating.
Yes.
And it sneaked onto social media somewhere. And that was
was
a little bit of furore about that. I mean, you can understand it because, I mean, they probably listen to things like this and think, oh, they want to talk about is England.
Yeah.
So it's probably, I can totally get that. The fact that, and that the rivalries that come from all the teams in Great Britain.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with that. They were celebrating England going out or being beaten, whatever it was.
Yeah.
It happens, doesn't it?
Which brings us to Iceland, England. Obviously, that was a poor... They did beat Wales, actually, obviously. That Sturridge last minute, wasn't it? Yes. That was one of the great moments. And then we had Harry Kane taking corners. Yeah.
I mean, it was just so bad. It was incredible because all the talk before the game was this can't happen. There's no way this Iceland team can beat our England team. When you look at the names that were in our team, including Wayne Rooney, then England score. Rooney gets the penalty, I think, doesn't he? To early on in the game, 1-0 up, and then
from being 1-0 up as well.
I know, and then they were renowned for their long throws. Iceland. Yeah. And then, lo and behold, long throw into the box, flick on, and then they score, and it was like, oh, this can't happen, can it? And then
it can.
We weren't doing that. Because obviously we always share the major tournaments with ITV, and England tend to lose on ITV. I shouldn't say that. But yeah, it's just. I mean, I'm not a superstitious person. I used to be. I was really superstitious when I played until I worked out it was unlucky. But they. I mean. Yeah, we were doing the highlights, weren't we? So sitting there watching, thinking, well, we'll get the quarter final. We can't wait for that. And then it was like devastating, wasn't it? And we had to. And then the worst shows to do are when England go out, whether you do it live or you do the highlights after, because it's really difficult. Because you've got to say it as it is, and it's kind of. Because we're broadcasting the game back there, you want England to do. It's just horrible.
Yeah. But it is for us because the tournaments are great for us.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all getting there. We all want to get behind England.
Yeah.
Whilst England are there, there's still a buzz in the studio and a buzz in the hotel at night time. But once England go out, then the tournament sort of goes a bit flat, doesn't it?
Although we did have Wales, which gave us something. But we're not Welsh. Yeah. But we did have our Welsh pundits in, which was great, and they enjoyed it.
Just a quick question, from the senior pro, the older pros, do they genuinely want England to do well? So say like Kane goes and wins a tournament and wins the Euros and a World Cup, then obviously his legacy becomes a lot greater than you're looked at, you've got the Premier League record, but then at England level, Kane has done more. Does that ever go through your mind as players, being selfish, wanting to be the best?
Yeah, he really wants Harry Kane to beat his Premier League record.
Not a chance. not a chance.
That's a different question.
Same sort of thing, though. It's basically say, do you want someone to do better than you did? Absolutely. I think when you first finish,
yes,
there's if someone's coming in and doing your job and you think, I'm not sure I want him to do that. But you know what? As time goes by, you grow out of that nonsense, and it's the same. Funnily enough, when you start in TV with BBC and ITV, as it was in the major tournaments, I used to get like competitive about who got the biggest audience, who gets the best review. Do you know what? I totally grew out of that a long time ago. Both channels do it really well. Both channels have got good pundits.
You still post the figures though now.
No, but post the figures because it's football. I'm pushing and for promoting the figures, and and also pushed. When ITV's figures, and I said England. It's great because people are interested in the game, and it's ridiculous rivalry really. But it's the same with players. Like Harry Kane, for example, won the Golden Boot at the World Cup, and before that I was the only person. People saying, "Oh, you must be gutted that now there's another." No, because what it does it reminds people that I actually did it in a way as well. So it's, some young people think, who's he, that big-eared bloke on television? He just flogs crisps on me and does a bit of match of the day. But it reminds people I actually used to play the game reasonably well.
Yeah.
So, and it'll be the same. Alan's getting old now as well. He's into the back nine, and I'm on the 16th green.
Well, I
as he
think
said.
it's because it's great for us.
It's a buzz when England. We gutted when England. Gutted. I remember we sat together again. England lost on ITV. And see, I'm not.
What games have ITV got this summer? Second and third one, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
They're all right in the group stage. They'll be fine. So we get. We sat together, didn't we, for the semi-final in Croatia in the ground. We went to the ground. It was I think it's the only game I could get to in the tournament, and we sat there. We were absolutely heartbroken, just like every other supporter. And when we took the lead, we were jumping up together and then devastated.
Yeah, because I never thought of that because I just feel like just some of the pundits that we've seen of old have always been like negative, when talking about.
Well, the problem is when they lose or something. If you play like that against Iceland, a country that's got more volcanoes than it's got professional footballers. Which is a fact, and you lose. Yeah. I mean, you've got to say your job is to say as it is. You can't pretend. Yeah. You can't just be nice. And you'll find that there'll be points in your career when you have to do that. And even if it's Manchester City, whether it's England, and it's something that you have to do and be honest.
Well said, Gary.
So that kind of does it, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Does it? So well done, Iceland. They were our memorable moments of Euro 2016. Tell us yours using the hashtag MOTD Top 10. Goodbye for now.
I'm investigative journalist Livy Haydock, and this is Gangster. In this new podcast series, we tell the extraordinary story of Paul Massey, a gangland Mr. Big.
You had different factions that was fighting against each other and all brought them together.
His rise from the streets of Salford to the head of an organised crime group.
These people were the original Sopranos.
A journey into a dangerous underworld.
You work for us now. Any questions? Of course you don't have any questions.
Gangster. Listen on BBC Sounds.